Survive and Advance on the Gruely Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future of sports medicine. To find out more about them and all the products they offer, go to thegruelytruth.net, click on the banner at the top of the page. I'm your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host. He is a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame and was on the 1981 National Championship Indiana Hoosiers. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great today, Mike. How you doing today? It's another beautiful day in Southern California. It's about 85, 87 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. I haven't seen a cloud in the sky in about probably a year and a half. I don't even know what a cloud looks like anymore. So,
all right.
you know.
So our guest today knows what that's like because he's from down there. Help me welcome to the show, member of the 1980, starting linebacker on the 1988 Bengals Super Bowl team. Also on the 1985 Orange Bowl Championship Washington Huskies, who beat the Oklahoma Sooners. Help me welcome to the show, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Great day, Mike. We had started off to a great week in Bengal Nation, and they got the 88 Super Bowl team together. Back together last night for an event at the stadium, and it was just awesome. So, we're looking forward to today's game, and hopefully the current Bengals can keep this thing going and find a way to get a win tonight.
All right. So when we look at this game, we'll look at this game first, then we'll talk about 1988 a little bit, then we'll preview the games from week 2. When we look at this game, though, I mean, there's always some ill will when the Ravens and the Bengals play. And the last time they shared the same field, Bengals quarterback Andy Dalton became a folk hero in Buffalo. Dalton's game-winning 49-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd dashed the Ravens' playoff dreams, thrust the Bills into the postseason for the first time in 17 years, and it looks like it may be at least another 17 before Buffalo gets back. When we look at this game, Joe, what do you think is the key?
I think the key is with us. I think it lies within ourselves. The team, we have to execute. If we execute and we play sound defense, we maintain our blocks. We get some push in the pocket against Flacco. I think it'll take care of itself. When you look at the last time we played in the last game of the season, as far as Baltimore is concerned, I think they're the same team. They have a wild card with Jackson coming in on special situations at quarterback. But with us, I think we improved more than what they did during the offseason. So when I look at our additions and the things that we did and the lineman, offensive line change that we had, the offensive line coach, that was a significant change for us. As well as our defensive coordinator. And when you bring the core people back that we have and you look at some of the young guys, Ross and Billings and, those guys and Lawson, these guys are going to be a big help from what they did last year as rookies. So when I look at both of the teams, they're somewhat evenly matched. It's an interleague game. It's a rivalry game. I always you throw out the records because despite I don't care if one team was 2-12 and the other team was 14-0. The rivalry games are going to go to the end. They're going to fight and scratch and do everything. Both teams are going to fight and scratch and do whatever they need to do to win. So, but I look at us as having that advantage tonight.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the Ravens, the thing that's different from them this year from last year, Joe, is the fact that you got Michael Crabtree, you've got Willie Snead, you got John Brown. It's 3 guys that I don't think will be a number 1 on any team, but these are 3 solid receivers. And as you and Steve were talking about before we went on air, the Bengals had problem covering the short routes, and with those 3 receivers, that could give the Bengals some trouble, especially if Preston Brown's out.
Yeah, I think you should look at what Austin's philosophy is. And that was his philosophy at Detroit, bend but don't break. To me, it can work, against some teams that are not as talented. So when you look at the Colts. We definitely did bend, but you had luck. I don't think luck has the surrounding pieces that the other teams have that we're going to face in the future. So we definitely there's going to have to be some alterations to our game plan because when you look at a team that has better skilled players. It is going to present a problem because you're going to have guys that can get those yards after catch. A lot of times what Luck was doing and making those short crossing routes and completing those routes, we were coming up making tackles. But when you're talking about going against more skilled players, those guys are going to make guys miss. That's just part of the league. So we're definitely going to have to adapt to that because I see teams coming at us and attacking us in that fashion, until we stop them.
Yeah, and Steve, you watched the Bengals-Colts game last week, and we talked about it. I think the biggest difference was there was no threat of a run game from the Colts. And when you look at the Ravens, there's not much of a run threat there, and it's hard to win a game when you can't run the ball.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the Colts, it was easier to defend against the Colts because for instance, they had no run game. I don't know how strong your offensive line is. I think you guys are having a little bit of trouble with the right side of your line right now, not kind of shoring it up as much as you need to and not getting the holes plugged there. And you got some weaknesses over there, so it's going to be imperative that you work around that to beat them. I guess I got cut off for a little bit, so I don't really know what I missed. Defensively, I think this has already been said. You guys have got to keep pressure on Flacco. He looked fairly sharp in the first game. From what I saw, a little bit of it, and if you give him time sit back there, he'll pick you apart. You got to get him out of the pocket and get him flushed. And then I think I heard you, Joe, talking about the end about the underneath pass routes. And Luck was picking the Bengals apart with that. And actually, on the play that they ended up getting the fumble on, he threw a short dump pass to Doyle, and Doyle turns it into a first down on a 15-yard run, which would have put us in the red zone and scoring position with about a minute and a half to go. It might have changed the outcome of that game. So got to get your linebackers playing up a little bit more. And you're going to have to be able to defend better against a run game than you had to show against the Colts. There's no doubt if you're going to take on the Ravens because they're a much more formidable running team than the Colts are, for sure.
All right. So when you look at this game, Joe, who do you think wins it? What do you think the score will be?
Well, I'm always going to – I think in this situation I'm going to side with the Bengals because I think we are better skilled. Like you said, you look at it, we are going to have to adapt. We're going to have to change a lot of things that we did last week. The linebackers are definitely going to have to play better. I've seen guys, it's a general rule in defensive football. Somebody's crossing their face. I believe that somebody else is coming from the other direction. And our guys are running with routes rather than, sitting down and covering the zone that they're supposed to cover. As well as in the run game. Our guys, like linebackers were I'm looking at them, and they were just, it was terrible reads. They weren't reading the linemen, and as a result, they did, split us here and there. So when you go against a skilled team, like Baltimore, coming off a huge victory, we're going to have to, get push. Our D-line is going to have to be, get some push. We're going to have to collapse that pocket. And our right side of the line, I think they didn't play as well as they could. I still think it's a total 100% upgrade from what we had the last 2-3 years and the misery that we've suffered as a result of how bad our offensive line. But, it's a rivalry game. It's a home game. It's season opener. It's the prime time of football, and, we're supposedly, supposed to have this curse on primetime football. But, I see that these guys, it's a new team, new attitude, some new coaches. And I think these guys are still going to have to prove that the last game wasn't a fluke. And I think we're going to come out. I think we're going to come out, we're going to battle, I see us winning a close game, something along the lines of 24 Bengals, 21 Ravens. I think it's going to go down to the wire. And it's going to be who makes that last big play towards the end of the game.
All right, Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a question. Is this a playoff game?
It sure seems like it.
It's going to be a playoff.
No, Mike, just answer my question. Is this a playoff game?
No.
No, then you guys are fine. You'll win. I mean, if it's a playoff game, you're screwed because the Bengals can't win a playoff game to save their ass.
Hey.
But if it's not a playoff game, I think the Bengals look sharp. I mean, I thought they looked, despite the fact they're playing the Colts, was not a very good defensive team. But I think they look sharp. I thought the Green and quarterback looked really good early on. Dalton looked good, and that's early in the season. They're hooking up like that. Then I think they're going to be sharp. We'll keep everybody healthy, but I like the Bengals in this game.
All right, so we talked about Bengals teams that can't win playoff games, and Joe was on one that could in 1988. They're honoring that team this weekend. They're honoring them at the game tonight, and it's something the Bengals have rarely, if ever, done in the past. And what's it mean to you guys? I know you guys had to get together last night where you said it was over half the team was there, a lot of the coaching staff. What's it mean to you guys to finally get recognized by the Bengals organization?
I mean, it's great, considering how the Browns, treated the organization in the past. There's now when you look at all the other teams, there's huge alumni impacts throughout the community. They maintain, a relationship well with all the alumni. They do things, fly the guys in, and the Bengals had never done anything like this. So with this, they literally, flew everybody in, Mike, and believe it or not, first class tickets. And they put all the guys up in
and the Bengals paid for this, Joe? They didn't make the players.
And the big fans, they paid for it. So everybody was, it was, that's huge, But I think Mike is somewhat softening up the older that he gets, and I think he sees the value in bringing back former players like all the other organizations. You see guys coming in and bring those guys back, and sometimes when you have a Munoz, you have a Joe Walters, Bruce Reimers, Krzyzewski. When you have guys like that, why wouldn't you use those guys to if you had just have them come in and talk with the linemen? When you have Fulcher and Eric Thomas and those kind of guys and Solomon Wilcox coming in, having a session with your DBs. When you sit in with linebackers, you have myself, Reggie Williams, Carl Zander. I'm local, so here you can utilize me, a kid from South Central LA. You got a Burfict, another kid from South Central LA, and the problems that he's having. To sit down. We had a couple of the coaches. Ken Woods, our strength coach. He was talking to me exactly about that. Having the Browns, have someone like me talk to a Burfict, and just to give him a different perspective of of things that he needs to do better, football and in the community. But it was a great it was great seeing those guys and just going through the memories of how the city was on fire. And we talked about how we talked to the fans about what started it, and coming off of a 4-12 season in '87, pretty much with the same team. There wasn't we had some different pieces. Icky came in, David Grant, Kevin Walker. So we did have some rookies come in, but the core of our team was already set. And to go from a 4-12 to having the best record in the league, started with Sam White. It started with Sam rooming white guys with black guys, rooming offensive guys with defensive guys. Because my roommate was Chris Collinsworth. So Chris is a Florida guy, little country guy from small town. I'm an African American guy from South Central Los Angeles. I'm coming from the West Coast. He's coming from the Southeast. And you get to know each other and find out that, damn, man, we are so much more alike than we are, different. And just that bond that we had that year, and then you get to winning, and winning becomes contagious. We started 6-0, and by that time we felt that we could win any game. So it's important for teams to have that cohesiveness and that bond. The bond off the field, the bond on the field. When you're bonding off the field, puts you in a better situation to trust your guys and knowing that they are going to come through. And when the guy's having a bad game or making a bad play, that you know how to talk to him. You know how to come toward him and say the right things. Because at the end of the day, we only can be successful as a unit. So we talked about those things last night, and that season was a magical season. We just unfortunately fell, 36 seconds short of being the world champs.
Yeah, and when you look at that, you talk about 1987 with the strike. You had a feud between Sam Weish, Boomer Esiason. You had the catastrophic Game 2 after the Week 1 win in Indianapolis, where Weish, for some reason with 6 seconds left, runs the ball instead of just punting it away or taking a safety, and you guys lose that game. And that season, I think you guys lost like 7 or 8 games by less than a touchdown. What was the catalyst outside of Sam, rooming guys together? When was it during that season that you guys realized that you had something special? Was it from the start, training camp, or a little later on in the season?
Well, you started with training camp, but like you said, we had a decent preseason, and you could feel the pieces coming together. And then, like you said, you opened up, against the Cardinals, and if you remember that first drive, it started with the defensive goal line stand, and the game ended with a defensive goal line stand. So it was just a feeling that you had, and going out and bonding. We would go to each other's homes, and I would eat over here in Barney's house. We eat dinner over there. They come to my house, or Hillary's house. I'd go with Reggie Williams. So we had those bonds. We were going out, as units, the whole defense, the whole offense. We started doing that things, and I think once we start getting on that streak, that won the first game, second game, third game, fourth game, and we're saying, well, hey, I think we have a shot. So it wasn't, we weren't talking. Usually guys are talking about, when the season is about to be over, 2-3 games, where are you going? Where are you going for vacation? Guys, cars are packed, and boxes are apartments are packed up, and you're ready to go to the off season. So guys were talking about the game, Super Bowl being in Miami. We were looking to Miami. So we're looking just beyond, not just in our league, our division. We were looking beyond. We were looking to the playoffs. We were looking, towards the Super Bowl. And as the season progressed, just that feeling got bigger and bigger. And we just knew those kind of plays, like what happened last week in Indy. Yeah, the guy does catch it. It is a first down, but bam, we make a play, fumble, we run it back for a touchdown. So it's those kind of plays. Those kind of plays become contagious. I don't care what you say. They come, everyone, when you start looking to make a big play, it becomes contagious. And, that's how that season was, and that.
You there, Joe? Joe.
Mike.
What's up, Steve?
How you doing?
Let's see. Let's try him again here. See if we can get him on. All right. And Steve, in 1988, your Colts had a lot to do with why the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, because after the Bengals beat the Redskins on that Saturday, the Colts upset the Bills on that Sunday in 1988, which is what made the Bengals the home team for the AFC playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Who did they play?
In the championship game, they played the Buffalo Bills.
Played the Bills.
Yeah, beat the Seahawks, then beat the Bills. Real quick, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. Hold on. We got Joe back. You there, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, and me and Steve were just talking about he's a Colts fan, and a lot of people forget everything went right that season for the Bengals up until the Super Bowl because you had to win over the Redskins 20-17 in overtime, where Chip Lowmiller, who was one of the best kickers in the game at that point, misses a 29-yarder, and the next day the Indianapolis Colts, who were 8-7, upset the 12-3 Buffalo Bills to give you guys home field advantage. So at that point, you got to feel like this is destiny.
Oh, we did. You know, it was testing. You know, Lowmiller misses a chip shot. It was literally almost an extra point. You know, he hit the upright, and like you said, the Colts beat the Buffalo, and you know, which gave us a home field advantage. You know, and those are the kind of things that happen. You know, it's a game of inches. And when you have that ball bounce your way, you look at, you know, the difference. Even our 87 team, like you said, we were going. We had the lead in majority of those games going into the fourth quarter, and we lost all those games by 7 points or less. But it's a play. It's a play here and a play there. That's it. You look at the whole body of work, and at the end of the game, when you review the game, it was one or two plays that decided the game. You know, and we were fortunate that year. Those 1, 2, 3 plays. The ball bounced our way. So, you know, as a result, you know, we were able to turn that 87 season around, and nobody expected us to be the team that we were, and, you know, get to, you know, being within 36 seconds of being world champions.
Yeah, and then the luck kind of turns on the evening of January 21st, 1989, the night before Super Bowl 23, where you guys lost Stanley Wilson. And I don't think people realize what a loss that was, especially on that turf in Miami, because that turf was so bad that Stanley Wilson was probably the best running back on that field to be able to do that. You want to talk about the impact and what you remember from that night?
Oh, you know, it's if people recall our team, you know, you had Ickey and James Brooks with the numbers, but if you looked at Stanley, you looked at his average per carry, but more than that. You understand, Stanley was an inspiration. He was an inspirational leader, you know, on our offense. He was that guy to, you know, get those guys in check. Because, you know, we had egos. You had James Brooks running the ball. You had Ickey running the ball. You know, but the guy that can, you know, squash all that nonsense about who wants the ball, who's going to do this, was Stanley. You had, you know, Tim McGee wanted the ball, you know, and they thought Boomer was trying to get the ball to Collinsworth. All that mess that was going on during the Super Bowl, those are things, that's where the impact we lost from Stanley. But, you know, that night, it was ironic because Stanley was at the meeting. We had a meeting, I remember like it was yesterday. We had a meeting at 7 o'clock, your normal team meeting prior to the night before the game. Stanley was there. Sam White said, hey, they're having, NBC is having a special on the Bengals at 7. So, you know, you guys go out in the lobby, go back to your rooms and be able to watch, you know, the special with your families, and we'll reconvene at 8 o'clock. So that's what we did. So 8 o'clock came, and we're starting the meeting, and then Sam kind of looked around and like, there's no Stanley. And so, you know, unlike, you know, because if a guy's not there, you don't stop the meeting. You know, the meeting goes on. This is NFL. Meeting's always going on. But for whatever reason, Sam stopped the meeting. You know, he asked Eddie Brown, I think Eddie Brown was his roommate, where was Stanley? And he said, he was in the room. So he goes up there, you know, and knocks on the door, and Stanley doesn't answer, and they had to get security, and security opened up, and Stanley had locked himself in the bathroom. And unfortunately, you know, he had relapsed, you know, that night. So you're talking about a guy who had been tested randomly off and on for the off season, end of season for 3-4 years, and had been clean. You know, you just talk about just a happy guy, a high spirited guy, and I know it devastated Sam. And we're sitting in the meeting, and next thing you know, all we see is a blur, and the blur was Stanley Wilson running out past our meeting room, running out of the front door, and maybe about a minute later, Sam is walking through the door with tears in his eyes. So you had, this is the night before the game, man. You know, so we were saying, what the, you know, it was emotional. You know, a lot of guys felt horrible because Stanley's mother was there. Stanley's son, Stanley Wilson Jr., who actually made it. He played a couple of years. He actually played for the Colts. A couple of years. They were there. So you know, we trying to conduct the meeting, trying to keep your mind on the meeting at hand and the task at hand, you know, and then, you know, here the next morning you're bombarded. Everybody, whether or not you were playing, whether or not you started, whether or not you're backup, you're bombarded. What do you think about Stanley? What do you think about Stanley? What do you think? So, you know, these are the things that, you know, it's not an excuse. I mean, it is what it is. You know, but if Stanley Wilson, if that doesn't happen to Stanley Wilson, and Stanley is a part of that you know, that game, I beyond a shadow of a doubt know that there would have been a huge difference offensively. You know, and unfortunately, you know, it didn't happen, and that's what we had to deal with. You have to you know, play the hand that you were dealt. You know, and that's the hand that we were dealt, and you know, we came up a little short.
All right, now, when we talk about Super Bowl 23, the thing I remember most, and this may be nuts, but I was at the game, but it was the introductions. And I've never seen a team so jacked up for a game, especially number 58 with your towel out there waving it.
Oh my God! You know, Mike, when you look at it, you know, it's you look at the Super Bowl now and you think about the hype. You know, the hype was there. When you get to the Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl, Mike. Whether or not you're a coach, a player, a fan, it is the effing Super Bowl. So, you know, trying to contain your emotions. You know, when you walk in a pregame and you're saying to yourself, man, this is man, I'm in the Super Bowl. So you have those emotions, and then, you know, when you look at the play, the defense was the unit that got us to the Super Bowl. The things that we did, you know, shutting down Buffalo in the AFC Championship, you know, third down, getting off the field. You know, defense have been playing great. So Sam knows, you know, the two wild inspirational guys was myself and Tim Crumry. So I already knew when he said he was going to introduce, you know, the defense, and, you know, you have, you know, most people in the world, this is the most watched event, you know, in the world. And you have that, and the emotions come. So, you know, they call your name and you run it out. You know, literally, Mike, after the introduction, I literally had to go to the sideline and get oxygen because I was hyperventilating. I was that hyped, and I had to, you know, like, Joe, sit your ass down, man, and relax. You know, because at the end of the day, now you got to go play football. You know, now you got to go play football. You know, but it was, you know, it's a memory, man, that, you know, lasts a lifetime. And, you know, it was indicative of how, you know, all the guys were reacting to each other last night at the reunion.
Now, when you look at that game, at the start of the game, Tim Crumry goes down. As you said, that was another emotional leader for the team. What kind of effect did that have? I know David Grant came in and played great, but Tim Crumry was maybe the best nose tackle in football at that time.
Oh, absolutely. He was the best. He was the best. But you know, he was the leader of our defense. And David Grant came in and played as well as anybody could possibly play. You know, he probably played the best out of all the linemen, D linemen. But you know, you have, you know, it's Crumry. You know, it's Crumry, man. It's this guy. You're talking about a play that's, you know, it's one or two plays. This play, maybe he got there, you know, a half a second too late. Well, whereas Crumry would have got there, there'd been a half a second difference. You know, it's a game of inches. It's a game of literally seconds. You know, and there's no way that you couldn't have you could have told me that some of the plays that our D-line made, if it were Crumry, that half second, you know, that extra push, you know, the stopping of the run, that he wouldn't have made, 5 or 6 plays that he did. This was, we're not asking him or thinking that he had to be this extraordinarily, subhuman guy that was going to go out and that was the only way we're going to be San Francisco. If Crumline goes out and play an average game like Crumline plays, he would have definitely changed the course of that game.
Yeah, and then you had the Lewis Billups dropped interception. But the thing that stood out to me from talking to multiple Bengals that played on that team was just possibly the dissension in the coaching staff during the game.
Well, I reiterated that with Stanley Wilson. Stanley Wilson would have had no problem going up to McNally and Cosley, and tell them, to shut the up. This is we are. This is no issue right here. We're going on the field, dude, and these guys are coming off the field arguing. The running backs want to run the ball, but Kiki wants the ball, James Brooks wants the ball. Bruce and McNally are arguing because, one wants to run the ball, one wants to pass the ball. And then we hear that, the guys are thinking that Boone was trying to get the ball to Collinsworth. They're arguing. So, Reggie Williams, he went off. There's some things that I couldn't say, on this radio. He went off. We're just, at the end of the day, I don't get bothered with offense because I got a job to do. I can't even make it bad for you. That's what you got to. We got to handle ours. And, like I said, we get Jerry, Joe had awesome games. But it's Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. That's expected. But at the end of the day, Mike, we still held them to 13
points.
With our base defense. And it wasn't until, that 2nd and 21, LeBeau decided to go with the dime defense. And, you look at 2nd and 21, and boom, you see they get 22. And they just marched down, and they stayed with your base personnel. They kept Jones in the game, 2 wides, a tight end, and all they did was flex. That's what San Francisco did.
And if I remember, Reggie Williams wasn't even in on the final drive.
No, they took all the base defense came out on that 2nd and 21 when they hit Jerry Rice over the middle, and Ricky Dixon made an incredible touchdown saving tackle. But ironically, when you look at the game, maybe it'd be great if he let him go, and we would have had time to, for our offense to get out there. But at the end of the day, man, there's, Lewis dropping an interception, yeah. But, at the end of the day, it doesn't come down. We should have been in a position that, that we had to do that. But, it was a great experience, man, great game. We just, looking at that game, I couldn't look at it. Honestly, I didn't look at it. On the Super Bowl time, the TV always plays all the Super Bowl games. I think I didn't watch, first time I watched the game was maybe 2005, 2006. And I'd be damned if I'm watching a game that we still don't beat them. I can't find a way how we would lose that game.
And the best way to watch that game, Joe, is to stop right after Jim Breach kicks the field goal.
Yeah, game over, man. So,
yeah.
It's an emotional game, man. Man, damn, it would have been great, man, to be a world champ. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So, despite that, it's still, you can't erase the memories. You can't, erase the feelings that you had as a team, or the feeling that the pulse of the city. It was just crazy going around the city everywhere you went. Grocery store, the malls. No matter where you went, everybody wanted to see the Bengals, and walking into the jungle. It was the atmosphere. We had a home field advantage. That's what that was. It was a home field advantage, and that's something that I don't think Bengal Nation has been able to experience since that year.
No, I was there in '88. It's never been like that again. Hopefully, maybe they can get that back. I just don't see where this team could have the personality that team had. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead, Steve, and look at the Week 2 games. And we're going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you like here, Steve?
I'm going to go with Kansas City. I think without Le'Veon Bell and the dissension that's causing amongst that team, I did not think that Roethlisberger looked that sharp. in opening play. He's getting up there. I would concern me more about him with some of his decision-making process more than his mechanics of his throwing and his arms. I think Kansas City looked extremely well. They're very well coached. But I think the Le'Veon Bell thing is just going to continue to wear down Pittsburgh, although they're not going to admit it publicly. But it's going to cause more and more locker room dissension on that team because the guy's not committing to the Steelers and not committed to, retaining their position on top of the AFC Central. So I like Kansas City in this game, and I don't think it's going to be really. It might even be a blowout.
All right, Joe.
I think it's going to be a double-digit victory for him.
Joe.
I'm looking, at that. There's definitely dissension in the Steeler locker room. But it's the Steelers. I still think they have the personnel. I still think they have guys that they're going to compete. I see this, being a close game. I think they have the personnel. They're going to be in it. They're going to be in every game that they play. I just think that's the kind of they're a tough team. I hate the Steelers. I hate the Steelers with a passion. I hate black and gold. I despise it, and but I still, with that, without having Le'Veon Bell, I don't see Kansas City dominating. I am going to say, Kansas City's going to win in a close one. But it's the Steelers. Steelers are going to fight to the end, and they're just going to try and hold on until Le'Veon Bell gets that contract thing ironed out.
See, I think there's a possibility he doesn't get it ironed out because the Steelers' ownership's about like the Bengals, and they don't play real well with others a lot of times. It's just they pick out better players to play with. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes. A little worried about him going to Pittsburgh because if you watched the game in L.A. last week, it was kind of like it was in Kansas City. I think the place was like three-quarters full and everybody was wearing red. I'm going to go with the Chiefs just because I think Andy Reid is a little bit better coach than Mike Tomlin, and I think Big Ben's getting old. And these games are tending to happen more and more for him. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. It may just be more of a hope than anything else. But our next game, the Miami Dolphins, who are undefeated after beating the Tennessee Titans, go to New York to play the Jets. And, Joe, I like the Jets in this game.
I do. I'm looking at, here, Sam Darnold. Here's a kid, he's a much heralded guy coming out, man, and Mike is his first pass is a pick six. So you got guys that couldn't react to that, and guys that normally you have some guys that would go into the tank, and he came out. He didn't have staggering numbers, but I think he came out. He composed himself, and he played very sound, fundamental football. And I think with what they did last week, I think they're going to build upon this guy and circle the wagon. So also being a former Jet, played there 3 years. He got a little special feeling for the Jets. So I'm going to go with the Jets also in the close one.
All right, Steve, you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. The Jets just look much more organized. The Jets look better than just Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
I mean, he looked good,
Bowles
but I
is
thought
one of
the
best
team
coaches
looked
in the NFL.
Right. I mean, I thought the entire Jets organization, but that whole team looked good. Are they Super Bowl caliber? I don't think so at this point in time. But this win last week was just not on Sam Darnold. That whole team just played organized football. They played well. They played within themselves. They did make a lot of fundamental mistakes. And right now, as long as you've got Tannehill down there and you keep trying to put all your cards on Tannehill, I think the Dolphins are going to flounder. I just don't think he's a top-level NFL quarterback. He'll probably get hurt about time for him to get hurt, about halfway through this game. It's about the time when he gets his first injury of the season, usually halfway through the second game. And then he's out, and then they're floundering with quarterbacks. Let's bring Cutler back one more time and give him a try. So I just don't see the Dolphins as organized. They can't get their stuff together. They've been that way for many years. Been that way for as long as I remember Tannehill being there. I'm not putting all the blame on him, but I thought the Jets looked like a very good, organized, young, up-and-coming football team who've got their crap together, and they're going to lose games because they're just going to get out-talented by some of the better teams. But I don't think their team is going to just fall apart and give games away on the field. So I think the Jets.
All right, next up, Steve, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, some of these games, like the Browns-Saints, we're just going to go through, just all agree on it. But I think the Buccaneers win this game, Steve.
I think it hinges on Fitzgerald. I mean, we're going to see. I think Philadelphia's a better football team. I saw where they're going to go to Foles again. They're going to keep Wentz out in another week, so it must mean they must have a lot of confidence in Foles
Now, he's
and
not
like the way he's
medically
playing.
cleared yet.
Who's not?
Wentz is not medically cleared yet.
Oh, he's not medically cleared? Okay, I didn't know they're not, but I did see they announced they were going to go with Foles. But, I think they're probably taking a lot of extra precaution with Wentz because they've got Foles playing as well as he's doing. And I think it's still just a repeat and a rehash of the Super Bowl product. They're continuing their juggernaut. Nothing's really changed for them to any great degree. I think that Tampa Bay rose to the occasion of Fitzgerald quarterbacking the game of his life. If he can duplicate that again, then you've got a game. But the question is, at 15 years in the league and being the journeyman quarterback that he is the reason why he's played for about every team in the NFL. He can't sustain that effort. Otherwise, he'd be a starting Hall of Fame quarterback with the play he played last week. So I'm sticking with Philadelphia. I don't think they're ready to lose yet.
Yeah,
they're still living off the high of the Super Bowl.
I just don't think the Eagles have looked that good this year, either in preseason or the first game, Joe. And Fitzpatrick, he's a journeyman, but he's a journeyman that'll usually put together 3 or 4 games like this to make you think he's better than that.
Sure.
Am I crazy, Joe, for thinking Tampa Bay can pull the upset here?
No, because I don't, being a former player, the journeyman tag that some guys get. He's an NFL caliber quarterback. He doesn't possess the physical skills that like some of the guys. When you look at him, he's not a 6'4.5", 250, 220 pound guy that can throw the ball 90 yards. But he's efficient. He's a consummate professional. He's a guy that he's not going to go in and lose the game. He's not going to, like I said, he's not going to be the shine out star, but he's capable of putting those kind of games together. That being said, I'm a former Eagle too, so I just look at our defense. I look at our defense and I say, our defense right now is better than their defense. Nick Foles won. He won a Super Bowl. So regardless of what you think about Nick won a Super Bowl.
Oh,
Nick
I
is
think
a world
Nick's a good
champion.
quarterback. I just think that whole team as a whole is not playing near the level they were last year, which I think is normal after a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, you have that. But I think the things that Philly did against Atlanta, and I think Atlanta, you have a good running back. You have arguably the best receiver, in football, and arguably, top 5, top 6, top 7 quarterback. And they were able to shut those guys down. So defensively, I think it's going to be some time till they can get Wentz back in there. But I think that Philadelphia's defense is going to keep those guys in, and they're going to. I see Philly pulling out another close victory against Tampa Bay.
All right, and next up we got the Browns and Saints. I don't think anybody here wants to pick the Browns, do they?
I do. I do.
Are we betting money on this show?
I might play a little small wager, man. I'm looking at the thing is, you look at the first 3 quarters of last week, and this is Steelers, and to come back, and to send that game into overtime, and the interior line really needs their ass kicked for allowing that huge push from the guy who blocked the field goal, the last field goal, Watt. Man, stay in there solid. God kick the ball, you guys win. But I think just tying the Pittsburgh Steelers after losing 32 consecutive games, I think they say, well, hey, you know what, man, we tied. We should have won. We had the opportunity to win. I think they're going to go in there, and I think with the some of the skill guys they have, wide receiver, their defense to me, they've always had good defensive players, but I think they may have seen something, and to me sometimes in this league, it's that it's what you see and what you feel, and you try and take that momentum and you build that momentum. So I'm going to go against both of you guys on this one. Like I'm going to say Cleveland's going to go in there.
Joe. Come on, Joe.
I've done it.
How's Cleveland going to score enough points to keep up with Drew Brees? Because Drew Brees is in the dome. We know that's an automatic 400 yards and 30 points.
I think Garrett. I think that D-line. I think they're going to put some pressure, on that guy, man. And I'm looking. We're gonna go. We'll talk to you next week. And you guys are going to be shocked. You guys are going to be shocked.
All right. Do you agree with me or do you agree with Joe, Steve?
Well, I tend to agree with you, Mike. I think that it's a tall order for Cleveland to come in.
Yeah.
And while we all agree that Cleveland's much improved, they definitely have changed the persona of that football team. Just the way they battled Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh wasn't very sharp or good. But that's a game that generally last year Cleveland would have lost by 30 points, even without Le'Veon Bell. You have to remember, too, New Orleans put up over 40 points in the loss to Tampa Bay. And Drew Brees was on fire. They just happened to catch a Fitzgerald or that was just hotter than snot on that given day and got a buzzsaw thrown at him. I agree. New Orleans is going to be very upset with themselves, very mad. They have a lot to prove. They expect to be in the playoffs. Cleveland does not. I think actually Cleveland would have a better shot if they would play Baker Mayfield. As long as they keep Taylor in the game, I think that they're going to be good, but they're not going to be great. I don't think that he's offensively equipped enough to move that team to the next level where I think Baker Mayfield is. I think the sooner they get Mayfield in that lineup and get him learning to read defenses and play the game at the pace that the NFL's played, they will continue to be in the hunt in games, but I don't think they'll win as many games as they could if they just went ahead and bit the bullet right now and put Mayfield in the game and just said, he's our future. He's where we got to go. We've got to get him ready. We have to be able to be productive and be in contention next year. But, there's a lot of good things New Orleans did last week. They just got caught with a very hot quarterback having a career day and things clicking right for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay will not duplicate that game probably all season long. I don't think they'll ever play as well again as they did there.
Colts, Redskins, Steve, do your Colts have a chance here?
No, Colts don't have a chance, although I'm going to pick the Colts just because I'd never bet against the Colts. But Redskins look good.
Don't win too many bets lately.
No, not on the Colts. No, I get it. I understand that. But I'll take the loss on that one to be loyal to my team. Adrian Peterson's, what a surprise. He turned out to be the first week. Let's see if he can keep it up, see if his body can take the pounding week after week after week. Alex Smith is a time-tested, proven great quarterback. I don't understand still why Kansas here to dump him. But they have their reasons, and I don't question Andy Reid a lot. But I think that they're playing. I think that all those factors involved are just too strong. Colts aren't ready yet. Until they get a running game, Colts are not going to be a big threat to anybody. Luck's going to step up and have a couple, 3 or 4, 5, 6 monumental passing games this year if he stays healthy. But other than that, the Colts really aren't going to be matched for anybody this year. I mean, they're not going to give anybody a big threat. They'll win some games, and they'll upset a couple people on Luck's arm, but that's the only way they're going to win. But I definitely got to go with the Redskins on this game.
Yeah, I'm going Redskins. You too, Joe?
I'm going to go Redskins on this game also.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate the love, buddy.
Hey, you picked the Redskins too, Steve. I don't want to hear it. All right.
I said I picked them to win, but I'm betting on the Colts. I bet the Colts.
Yeah, well, maybe Joe will bet on them, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
Chargers at Bills. Is there any reason to even talk about this?
Oh, my God.
All right, next up, Vikings-Packers. Yeah. I think this is a game whether Aaron Rodgers plays or not. I think the Vikings are just too good for him, Joe, especially on defensive line.
I'm looking at that, what Rodgers did first game was, to me, was just amazing. If Rodgers doesn't play, I'm going to go with Minnesota. If Rodgers is able to get in there and play all game, I'm going to always give Green Bay, that shot. Well, you got a guy.
I think if he plays in this game, you may get a worse injury on top of it because Minnesota's going to get after him. And we saw last week Brian Bulaga has trouble with a speed rush. And if I was the Packers, I wouldn't even play him in this game.
Yeah.
He's not practicing today. They set him out today from practice. He's not practicing today. That's not a good sign. Some will take it as let's rest him, but I take it more in preparation like this for an interdivisional game. It's as big as this. If you're not getting your starting quarterback ready to play, then the injury's more severe than thought. And I really think they'd be, if it is partially torn, meniscus or whatever, you're just putting so much of a seasonal risk on putting him in the game. Losing an entire season for the sake of one game. Played, period. Now, I'm not the doctor. I don't know how severe the injury is, but I did get a report this morning on the wire that he is not practicing today.
From what I heard, I don't think it's an injury that can get worse. He is hurt, but I don't think it's something that him going to play that it can if you have a partially torn ligament, that can obviously get worse. So I don't know if it's a deep bone contusion, something like that. But I can't see them, like you said, risking their entire season, over game two victory, and putting Aaron in. So
to your point, Joe, today they called it a strain. In the report that came out this morning, they said he will sit out due to a strain on his right knee. So they've got it down to where they're calling it a strain. Now, who knows what it actually is? His immobility was increasing play by play in last week's game. He was becoming less and less mobile every game. I mean, to the point where he could virtually mobile,
it makes him more likely
vulnerable
to take a worse injury.
Worse hit, right? Makes him a lot more vulnerable. So.
And let's face it, the Packers roster is not that good, and without Aaron Rodgers, they have no chance.
Exactly. There's no chance.
All right, next up, Steve, Panthers at the Falcons, which I think is an interesting game because you got Luke Kuechly in that Panthers defense against the Falcons offense that doesn't seem to be able to score or score in the red zone.
When I was picking for my pool in this one, this was the biggest angst game I had because Falcons are on paper a very good football team, very well coached, and they've got great people and great personnel. But I tell you, Carolina and they played within themselves, and I think that the loss by Atlanta is probably more of a harmful to them than a sounding alarm bell to them. I like Carolina in this game. I just think Carolina is going to ride a early season high. Cam didn't seem to be keeping playing within himself, directed the offense well. They didn't seem to have a lot of flaws in the ability, the times I got to watch him play on red zone. And I like Carolina. I think Carolina's going to go down there and win this game.
All right.
If they get to play it. I don't know, where's the game being played at?
It's in Atlanta. It's in a dome, so as long
it's in a dome, so they'll play the game, right? Okay, yeah. Well, with the hurricane coming in, you don't know if the game's even going to be played or not.
But we'll pick it anyways. Yeah. I think that the Falcons win the game. I just think that offensively they're going to score too many points for the Panthers. It is nothing against Cam Newton. I just don't think, outside of Christian McCaffrey, he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons there, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to go just with the fact that, they came out, it was an ugly loss. They're at home. And like I said, I think they do have more weapons than Carolina. I just think that they're going to defend their home turf. If it was a game at Carolina at this point in time, I more than likely would probably choose Carolina. But it's opening season home game for Atlanta, and I think that they're going to defend their home turf and eke out a close win.
All right, the next one I think is an easy one to pick. We got the Texans at the Titans. I'm going with the Texans, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going with the Texans. I don't know. Tennessee is just a team that you can't put your pulse on. They go out and they look crappy. I think they have some decent players, decent quarterback. But I don't, new coach. I just don't see them being able to, put it together. And, I think they're going to come out on the loose end.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I like Texas. Tennessee just looks disoriented. They don't look cohesive at all. They look like 11 individuals on a football field trying to play football. I don't see Mariota's not proven to be the leader I think everybody hoped and thought he was going to be. He's inconsistent in his play. Sometimes he makes brilliant plays and plays very well. And other times he's just all over the place and making bad decisions. So I haven't seen a lot of unity among Tennessee. Texas is highly regarded. It's a good, solid football team. They've been improving year by year. And I think Texas takes this game fairly easily.
All right, next up, Cardinals-Rams. Is there any reason to ask you guys who you're picking? I think this is an obvious Rams. Everybody agree?
Yeah, Rams are one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah,
if not the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah. Next up, we got Lions-49ers. Anybody see this being competitive? I like the Niners here.
Niners. I have Niners.
Niners, yeah.
After that, go ahead.
Detroit looks awful.
Yeah.
Detroit they just look bad in every play. And I know the quarterback had a bad game. Stafford had a bad game, and you discount that. But they didn't look good despite the fact that 5 picks were thrown in that game. They didn't look good. I was just amazed at the hype I heard about how Detroit had retooled themselves and they were coming back and looking good. I thought, well, the Colts got at least one win if we play them. For sure. We're going to beat this team.
I think the way that you look at this is it makes Bill Belichick look even better because every coach he sends out fails. So that tells you that Bill Belichick is winning everything in New England.
Yeah.
Next up, Joe, didn't you used to play for the Raiders too?
The Raiders, Raider Nation.
Raiders at the Broncos. And I think this is a game the Broncos win. I think Von Miller will destroy that offensive line, Joe.
It's you know what? When I look at the talent, I understand why he would let Khalil Mack go. The price tag and 2 first-round picks, but I don't know. I just think that was too big of a shock for that team. I think that team. I think there is some talk amongst in the locker room about here you're letting our best player go and you see Khalil Mack against he doesn't even know the defense in Chicago, and he was a terror. He was an impact in that game against Green Bay. That I think what Gruden did. You made monumental changes on a team who didn't need monumental changes, in my opinion. There was some things that he had. I always think at the end of the day. Coaches are overrated. You paid $100 million for John Gruden. John Gruden's he's a student of the game. He's a coach. I think when he won his first Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, he won it with Tony Dungy's team, and he got too much credit, for that. And I think this is the same situation. I think he's a guy. I think he's an ego guy. He has a huge ego, and I think that's going to get in the way of some of the decisions that he's made. I look for Denver to come out victorious, and the Raider Nation starts to rail behind some of these losses that they're going to incur the beginning part of the season.
You agree, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. I think Carr's overrated as a quarterback. Marshawn Lynch is just a festering cancer waiting to happen. And losing Mack, I think, is just probably more detrimental to that team than positive. And that Gruden's running around like John Wayne, and he's the new sheriff in town, and it's all going to be done his way. I see that team struggling and floundering all season long. They'll never get it together in the sense that they'll play good continuously. They'll have a bit of moments, but I just don't see that team as really being a factor all season long. I think Denver's a much better organized team, too strong defensively. I got Denver from this game.
All right, next up, Sunday Night Football, the New York Football Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams are coming off losses. But when I look at this game, Steve, I think the Giants' loss was a lot better than the Cowboys' loss. I think the Giants win this game because I like Eli Manning. You got Saquon Barkley. And the Cowboys, to me, are poorly coached by Jason Garrett, which is because of Jerry Jones, who wants a yes man. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott can't touch the ball 15 times a game running it, and you expect to win when you don't have enough weapons for Dak Prescott to throw to. I like the Giants to win this game.
Yeah, the only thing I can really put on moniker on this game is this game's for the cream of the crap. This is just cream of the crap. I mean, both these teams are floundering. I mean, remember the heyday when Giants Cowboys meant something. It was a sought after, looked at game in the NFL season when the Giants sat down to play back when Parcells was coaching and Jimmy Johnson were coaching. You had two great football powers, but this game's a far cry from that. I don't think any team really cares. I agree with you. I think that New York is the lesser of two evils. Dallas just looks just as inept as any Dallas football team I've ever seen play. They don't seem to have anything, whether Prescott or Dak Shepard. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott. I keep on calling him Dak Shepard, who's a comedian. He didn't look good, but I don't know that he's got anything to make himself look good with.
No.
I think you kind of alluded to that. So it's really can't put all the blame on his shoulders. Defensively, they're all over the place. I think they need to make a coaching change, but Garrett continues to be a puppet for Jerry Jones, as you said, so he's not going anywhere. New York generally, they're just a notoriously slow starting team every year that dig themselves into a hole, but they spend the second half of the season trying to climb out and claw their way into some kind of mathematical probability of about 30% of making the playoffs when they're probably one of the better teams in the NFL in the second half of the season. I think this is hoping it doesn't shape up to that way for this team this year because they've got a lot of good personnel on that team. They've got, healthy Odell Beckham back. Eli looks pretty good, fairly good, and playing with it himself. You got running back Saquon Barkley is definitely going to be a game changer as he continues to go if he stays healthy. So I picked the Giants in this game to win. I just think Dallas looks atrociously bad.
All right, Joe, agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Cowboys, Jerry Jones, another ego guy, and these guys think they're smarter and then they're better than they actually are. That's definitely shown based on some of the moves that personnel decisions that Jerry had, and you get rid of a Dez Bryant, but you sign nobody, but you think because it's you and it's the Cowboys that you can sign any guy and they're going to make a difference. So I'm happy. I hope Jerry stays in his way, and I hope the Cowboys get their ass kicked all season. Hopefully Giants with a healthy Beckham and this rookie Saquon Barkley, they can get out and just put a beating on the Cowboys. I'm going with the Giants.
All right, next up, we get the Seattle Seahawks at the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. I think this is a game, from what I've seen, the Seahawks' offensive line is terrible. They have no running game. All they got is Russell Wilson, which I kind of consider this team similar to the Colts. I think the Colts may even have more talent, Joe. As long as you got Russell Wilson, you're going to get 5 or 6 wins just because I think he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think the Bears win this game. I think defensively they're too good. With Jordan Howard running the ball, I think the Bears will win this by double digits.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears. Like I said, on the offensive side of the ball, Seattle is suffering on that side. I think they still have a very competitive defense, but I think Chicago's too solid a team. They got with the addition of Khalil Mack. That's going to take their defense up another level, and I think their offense is sound. And I think they do. They win by 2 touchdowns Monday night.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's really holding the Bears back right now to be an up-and-coming team, certainly not a Super Bowl contending team yet, but an up-and-coming team. I think if they could shore that position up and get somebody a little more capable in that position, I think the Bears would be a team that you would have to play and have to prepare for and not look as a pushover team. I still think defensively now they're going to play you very hard. They're going to be very tough to beat. You better have a good offense against them. But, Seattle is dropping down into Colts territory definitely. But I like the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be fun to watch this year. They're going to be in every game they play, and they're going to win more of those close games than they're going to lose.
All right, then we saved the best for last, the final game of the week, the best game, Sunday afternoon at 4:25. We've got the New England Patriots at the Jacksonville Jaguars at a rematch of an AFC Championship game last year. The Blake Bortles actually played well in, Joe. But when I look at this game, I'm going with the Patriots because Leonard Fournette's injured. And a healthy Leonard Fournette, I would take Jacksonville. But with a Fournette that's not 100%, I'm going to stick with the Patriots.
You know what? I want to go to. It's hard to go against Tom Brady against anybody. But I'm looking at those guys. Those guys had New England beat. The coaches went in, like I said, you got your Eagles in the way. You come out and you stay pat and keep doing what you're doing. I think it's a different. They're in the Super Bowl as opposed to New England. They whooped New England for the entire first half and some of the third quarter, and then just went away from what they were doing. So I think those guys are going to play with a chip on their shoulders. I think as a defense, they're with those two corners, you can take the risk in this league that you're going to have to take to beat a Tom Brady. I just think those are the two, best pair of cornerbacks in the league, and as a result, you can let your hair down, and then you can gamble and do some things. So, that being said, man, I'm going to go with Jacksonville, even without Fournette. I think they're one of the most sound teams. They're not without having a great star quarterback, but Blake has put him in a situation not to lose games, to stay solid, and I'm looking at close game, but I'm looking at Jacksonville actually winning this game.
All right, Steve, it's a split decision. Make the decision for us. Yeah, I think this is a pick'em game, anyways.
Yeah, I think it's a pick'em game. I like Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville just is more on a little bit more of a juggernaut, whereas New England's kind of slightly downtrending a lot. They're still great. They're still a great football organization, and they're still a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl berth. There's no doubt. You may see this as the rematch come the end of the season of the AFC Championship game again. You would probably point toward this game. But I think right now Jacksonville's riding a high. Bortles is playing within himself. They've got a lot of strong supporting cast. Brady is piecemealing things together on the field. He's doing it well, and he always has done it well, and that's what's made Brady so good. He's never been a flamboyant, flashy quarterback. He's just a guy that gets the job done whatever it does. But I just think some of these close games that New England was always able to find a way to win, I think strong teams like Jacksonville are come in there now just because he can just enough that teams like Jacksonville are going to be able to overcome and overtake New England. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville in this game to win early in the season. If it was a rematch for the Super Bowl berth, I don't know if I wouldn't go the other way at that point in time. But right now, I think Jacksonville goes in and avenges their loss from last year and takes this win.
All right, guys, that's all the games for the week. Joe, I want to thank you for coming on. I know you've got a big night planned with the Bengals honoring you on the 30th anniversary of the Super Bowl season. Any final words?
Well, we're just looking forward to tonight and reconvening with some of my ex-teammates, and it's a primetime game, Thursday night game. There's not another show in town, so the nation will be watching Bengals, and I hope that we get out here and in this rivalry game against Baltimore, man, and we show everybody what I think. Some of the glimpses of what you and I have seen, Mike, and the fact that this team is definitely capable of being a playoff team, and it's definitely, if we can put all these pieces together, we can possibly go deep in the playoffs. So, I'm excited. Tonight's going to be a great day. And Steve, and by the way, Steve, it's 84 and sunny. We only got 2-3 clouds too, man.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You'll follow that up with about 2 weeks of 10 inches of rain next week, and we'll still have that 85 and sunny
Probably
here.
with the hurricane is hidden.
Joe, on Christmas Day, I'll call you as I'm sitting out in the pool in my Tommy Bahama T-shirt and shorts, eating turkey by the pool while my dogs are playing in the pool, and I'm heading to the golf course.
Well, that's not even
you're shoveling your driveway.
That's not a real Thanksgiving.
I know. I have plenty of Thanksgiving and Christmases with 85 degrees left.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I know, man. Can't beat that. Can't beat it.
I'm hoping to learn.
It's a different world, no doubt.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
We are going to go ahead and wrap our show up. We will be back tomorrow at noon with author John Responte, who is also a host of the Ringside Boxing Show. His book, Intimate Warfare with Dennis Taylor, which is about the Gotti Ward trilogy, has been on the Amazon top seller book list forever. He'll be on to talk a little bit about the book, but the main event, of course, this weekend is the pay-per-view fight between Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. So make sure you come on, check us out there. That'll be tomorrow right around between noon and 1. So check it out on thegruelingtruth.net. I want to remind everybody they can follow us at Grueling Truth or at Survive the Magic, which is the name for Survive the Advance on Twitter, since Steve stole the Survive in Advance name, so we can't get the Twitter page. Any final words, Steve?
Not after that comment. The hell of you.
All right, guys. Remember, you can hear all of the Grueling Truth shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find the Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.